All right, welcome to the Automana podcast. You are joining the real Shiesty and I on our magical journey of nothingness. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing? How was your week?
I'm doing all right. A little busy week. I got some things coming up, like a bachelor party and a wedding. But one
Ooh.
thing that we were supposed to talk about, or at least that was supposed to be our focus, was games. So recently, I just went to GameStop, picked up 4 games: Valkyrie Chronicles 4, Metro Exodus, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and Saints Row the Third, all for $20. But somehow I was able to get it for $15. So I got 4 games this month that I plan on hopefully playing and picking up, or playing and trying out. But what have you been playing besides World of Warcraft?
Of course, World of Warcraft. Stop throwing me under like that. No, but I am actually playing something new, believe it or not, as of just a few days ago. Um, Not on this podcast because we are still new and fresh, but you do know I advocate for a game called Octopath Traveler, which was
Oh, you
initially.
okay?
Hold on, let me finish here. It was initially released as exclusive on the Switch, but now you can actually play it on Steam. So highly recommend it. Loved it. This week they released a mobile version of, I believe it's a prequel of Octopath Traveler. So initially only came out in the East, and now it's here in the West. I downloaded it. I probably invested about 3 hours into it. I'm going to invest a whole lot more. It's a single player RPG with, unfortunately, like any mobile game, microtransactions, but I'm probably going to avoid it. So yeah, that's what's new on my plate. I also dabbled a little bit in Triangle Strategy, which is also on the Switch. Only put about 10 hours into that one. What else do I have? Those are the main ones. Unfortunately, I'm not like you and do a lot of consoles, and not that it's a bad thing. It's I need to get back in that realm one day myself, but
I'm
it is what it
surprised you
is.
went back to not Triangle Strategy, Octopath. That instead of
Dude, I
going to
love.
Triangle Strategy and playing that whole game, you went back to Octopath and played that PC now.
Well, so yeah, because I didn't finish. I'd like to finish my games. Most definitely, I love to finish my games. But Octopath, I was definitely looking forward to this. However, I just did not know when they were releasing it. Right, so like I did the pre-registration thing. I thought I would have gotten some sort of like email acknowledgement, like, "Hey, expected to come out this date" or whatever, and it literally just kind of like popped out nowhere. I'm like, "Oh shit! Like this is here. Let me install it," and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna. Every time I'm in bed now, I'm putting at least an hour in.
Wait, how are you playing it in bed? Do you have a device?
A phone, just on my phone.
Wait, you can play Octopath Travelers.
This game, so it's called. I think it's called Champions of the Continent or something like that. It's only on mobile devices. It's only
Oh,
Apple and Android.
I thought
It's
you
a
bought.
pre. It's a
What?
prequel to Octopath Traveler that was released on the Switch.
Okay, for some reason when you said Steam, I was like, if it's on Steam, would you have like a handheld? Like that's why I was so
No,
confused.
no. The original is available also on Steam. This is strictly just mobile.
I'm gonna have to check that out because I know you've been trying to get me on that game for a while. I'm happy to say that I have it downloaded on my Xbox. It's gonna be one of the games
Oh, it's
I've
on Xbox too.
yes, and it's with Game Pass.
Ah, okay.
So it's gonna be one of the games I probably will start in October because I know it's a pretty lengthy game. Plus, there's multiple playthroughs with different endings.
It can
Um,
be, yeah. Hmm.
so I plan on playing that soon, and I can't wait to try it because I love the art style. It's like a 2.5D art style, and I'm interested in that kind of stuff.
It's what they dub 2D HD.
Dude, well, it's kind of funny because Valkyrie Chronicles I just picked up is kind of like
Hmm.
that a little
Hmm.
bit. So it's perfect that I have 2 different games that are similar.
Nice, nice. So before we head into our topic one of today's podcast, let me first throw out a little PSA for all those that may be watching us live right now, and maybe if they're not watching us live and they tune us in the next 2 hours and they started at the beginning, PSA. If you live in a state that sells Mega Millions, get your ass out there, find $2, buy a quick pick, and hopefully you win, and then throw a little money my way if you win, because I told you I gave you the PSA. So just want to throw that out there. It's $1.28 billion, and much like always, when the pot gets this large, people start dreaming and thinking big. Like with that kind of money, like shit, maybe invest in your own TV show. I don't fucking know. Like,
You
dude,
can invest in.
you could do a lot of things, or invest in building your own video game. Like, I don't know. Like, you could do a lot.
I guess, well, you segued us in perfectly with the TV show. We'll talk about Amazon making great shows. I'm not sure if you've been watching Amazon Prime at all.
No, I have not.
But in my opinion, they have a lot of great shows. They got Wheels in Time. They got Invincible, which is this anti superhero. Well, it's basically like a, you know, a different version of DC where it's very dark and violent. And they also have The Boys, which is pretty much the same thing, but in live action. That's pretty good. They just have a lot of great stuff. And then Terminal List that just came out. That's fantastic. In my opinion, Amazon Prime doesn't make a lot of shows, but when they do make a show, it's usually always a hit.
So like, I don't even own a Netflix account, nonetheless. So like, my streaming different avenues of seeing TV shows is like virtually non-existent. So I know it's like a golden age of TV shows and movies that get launched through these exclusive platforms, Netflix and Amazon, and et cetera, et cetera. How long has Amazon been in this realm now? Like, to me, it seems like it's fresh.
Actually, they've been. I could be wrong, but I think they've been around since like 2014.
Okay, I mean,
I know they've been around for a while, but I know it's probably 2014 to 2016. That's when they kind of like took off.
is it like what do you think kind of really made them? I don't know if credible is the right word to use. Like, what's elevated them,
So
in your opinion?
you know, Amazon, they want money, so they seen how successful Netflix was doing, and they're like, you know what, let's jump on the bandwagon because Amazon Prime was a rental service, kind of like, you know, Redbox or whatever all those other services was for digital. But they decided to take the Netflix approach and start producing and making movies and shows for themselves. And I think that's when like they started 2014 or whatever, whenever they started making the shows. But they're also very picky. They're not like Netflix where they just make random shows. They're very particular about what they want to put out and how much they're willing to spend on it. Like if they pick a project, they're willing to throw as much money as they can on that project to make it the best they can.
So we might get our topics a little out of order here, but like, I mean, it's we're gonna talk about it later. But like, you know, one of those is Lord of the Rings, and I mean, we know the budget for that. So we just talked about the winning the lottery for heaven's sake. I mean, it's relevant to that. It's $1 billion project. Like it's crazy, and you know, it's. I mean that makes them legit, makes them credible. Unfortunately, I think that's the one show that if I were to, you know, get the money to buy an account, I mean, that would be the one. Otherwise, like, I know you mentioned Wheels of Time. Like, I've heard of it. I've heard good things about it. But beyond that, like, nothing's really captivated me. Nothing has made me gravitate towards it. Not to say that there's not good programming on there, because I damn well know there is. But, like, if you're going to get my money,
yeah, but you're also very particular
even
too.
though it's all like, I'm very particular. But you know, what is the cost anyways per month? Is it $15, $20?
It's either anywhere from $7.99 to $12.99.
Oh, okay. Is it also like if you're a Prime, you get it for free? Like if you're a Prime subscriber?
If you have Amazon Prime, it comes included with that. So you don't have to pay extra for Prime Video if you already have whatever the other one is.
Gotcha. So technically, if I want to be cheap here, I could register for a free Prime account and just watch the show and then escape out, or they're not going to give it to me that way?
They might do like a 30-day trial where it's included, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I've never done it that way. I've always had Amazon Prime, so I've just always had Prime Video as well. But I know people have like, you know, like you said, they don't have a lot of selections like Netflix does, but when they do create something, it's usually like I'm not sure if you've heard about the Terminal List, but like that's been like trending for a while and it's been out for like 3 or 4 weeks. Like,
no, I must be living under a rock. So.
What about The Boys? Because that one was also trending for a while too.
I've heard, that one I've definitely heard about. If I may admit, don't really know exactly too much about it. I know it's like
it's basically
like a Deadpool superhero type show, I guess. Maybe am I really wrong on that? Like
it's close enough.
Close enough, yeah. So like I get the gist of it, but I mean, we'll kind of get into that realm a little bit later too. You know, superhero, Marvel, DC, all that stuff. So, yeah, like once again, the Lord of the Rings does just might, make me get an account just to view that. But
Do you,
other than,
go ahead.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do
Uh,
we know like a date for when Lord of the Rings comes out? Because I've seen stuff,
Good
but I'd
question.
never seen a date.
I don't know. I truly don't know. I'm sure it's a Google search away, but off the top of my head, no, I do not. So, like, going back to the topic really quickly, like how to make great shows. Go ahead and elaborate on that with me. Like, what makes a great show to you?
So there's every site has like their good shows, but for me, what makes a great show is a combination of good casting with characters, storytelling that makes you interested in watching it continuously throughout the show or
Hmm.
movie,
Hmm.
um, and also just a mixture of just visuals and likable characters. Like obviously, if you watch The Boys, it's not like Marvel quality. Like you're not gonna expect top end CG, but it's comical enough where you appreciate for what they have, and sometimes
Hmm.
they have really cool moments. So it's
Hmm.
just good casting, good storytelling, and some nice visuals. You could see that makes the all of it more enjoyable to watch.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I like go. I mean, all I really have to feed off is Lord of the Rings right here. But like, I mean, you go back into like the cinematography and just like how monumental a lot of those shots and scenes look. And I mean, not to say that's automatically what makes a show great, but those things are really captivating. And if it like just takes your breath away, like to me, that's huge. Like those are the things that it's like, damn, like they pulled me in, they grabbed me. So
I won't say they have anything to the effects of like an Avatar quality movie. Like with the CG, just like just catching you by surprise, saying, "Wow, this is revolutionary." But I think what I appreciate with Amazon's version is that a lot of their styles of shooting things are much different than each other. They're always bringing uniqueness to how their shows are being shot. Like I said, The Boys is more like, even though it's live action, you kind of see it as like, how do I explain it? Like just classic destruction, not trying to be too professional, but you can see like the cheesiness with the set. And then also you
mm-hmm,
got stuff like Carnival Row, which is another fantasy type show where you can see like how detailed they are with like the set piece of like 1700s England with fairies and all that stuff. So they just have weird, unique art styles and shooting styles for each of their shows that makes it interesting and separates it from their other shows that they make.
gotcha. Now, is it just other shows they make on their own platform, or other shows in which like other rivals, like the Netflixes of the world, the Disney Pluses, Paramount?
I would say just on
God,
their
the
own.
list goes on and on and
I'll say
on.
on their own platform because there's other
Okay.
shows that you can relate, but
Hmm.
from their shows they always try to make it at least unique to their own platform.
Gotcha. So moving on to topic two, you want to discuss the Gray Man on Netflix. So I'm assuming you've already watched this, or you need or want to watch
I
this.
did watch The Gray Man. So have you
You
ever
watched.
watched a movie that caught you by surprise?
Oh God, yes. Off the top of my head, since you're kind of putting me on the spot, um, I can't really pull one out of my ass this moment, but obviously, yes, that has definitely happened. And maybe as we continue this conversation, one will pop in my head. But so I didn't see the film. I watched the trailer, and I will have to say, like, Chris Evans as a bad guy seems pretty fucking badass and cool.
He plays a good
I
bad guy. He plays a good douche, as they would
he
say.
he looked, yeah, I mean it looked good. And then Ryan Gosling, I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest fan of him. I appreciate him. I think he does a fantastic job. He's a good actor. So I'd give it a watch if I had the extra time for sure. It didn't look like it was like a bomb or anything, but yeah, it looked intriguing to me. So
So the reason why I brought this up is because
yeah.
when I watched it, I didn't expect much besides just like an average action film, which depending on your view, it might be. But
Mm-hmm.
you know how like every action movie nowadays is trying to be like super realistic, like kind of like John Wick, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love John Wick, and I think that's great. But The Gray Man gives you that classic action movie style where it's a little bit of realism, but a lot of just like craziness with like him doing some weird things to blow up an airplane, then him just free falling out the sky, stealing another person's parachute landing on the ground and then calling for backup and then immediately fighting more guys. But also the weird chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, because like you said, you're not the biggest fan of him, and for me, he's an acquired taste. Like there's a couple movies, like Blade Runner that I like, and what's it called? I can't remember the other guy with oh man, I forgot the movie, but he plays with the dude from Gladiator. Like those are like the two movies I like
Russell
with him.
Crowe?
Yeah, Russell Crowe.
Okay.
Those are like the two movies I like with him. And this one, he was actually funny. Like he didn't seem like plain and boring. He actually had a little bit of a comical side to him.
And I mean, it looked like both of the characters had a comical side to them.
Oh, they both definitely did, but I wasn't expecting that from Ryan. If that makes sense. Like that's what surprised me is that he was able to pull off entertaining action moments while making it also funny in certain scenes. And I just love the fact that they just brought a very, just action-packed movie that was entertaining. And I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much as I did.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, I think just the dynamic that, Chris Evans is the villain. Maybe, I don't know if that's a strong word to use, but the bad guy, and then Gosling was a good guy. Like, obviously, anybody would say, hey, you could flip those roles, and it's still, not it would have been the same movie, but it could have been equally as great, right? But
no, not this one. If you watch it, Chris Evans is almost like he's playing his natural self. He's very, how do you say, charismatic, but in a very, like, dick way.
Okay.
Like, when you watch him, you're like, oh, he's funny, but he's pretty bad. Like, a pretty bad guy. He's willing to kill people and kill, whatever is in his way if it gets him his goal.
Gotcha. So, like, is that like a total unique piece, or is it like derived from a book? Is it also a comic book? It seems like everything could be a comic book these days. So where did it originate from?
Honestly, I have no idea. Like I said, I just seen the trailer for it like 2 weeks ago. A couple days before it released on Netflix, and I decided to just give it a watch and enjoyed it. But from what I know, I could be wrong, but I haven't done any research. But I don't think it's from any book or comic book, whatever. I think it's a fresh idea.
One.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Awesome.
But yeah, I was surprised that Netflix was able to make a decent action movie.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, because they're mostly, dare I say this, but they're mostly known for shows rather than movies, right?
It depends. They have some good movies out there, but usually their solid movies are more for foreign countries, like either good Asian, Korean dramas, or what other countries they have. But yeah.
Gotcha. So going to topic 3. Oops, I think I got my topics mixed up here. Wait, what is 3? Is it the MMO Game Addiction one? Is that the next one you want to talk about?
No, it's Marvel Phase 4 and 5.
My bad.
Okay, I try to keep it uniform with the shows, movies, and moving on.
We'll segue to the end of the video game realm. Gotcha. Okay. So, once again, another topic that I'm like so removed. Removed is one word for sure, but like, I'm not the comic book guy out of my my party of friends. They all love them. I'm not saying I hate them. I don't hate them. I know if I actually sat down and watched every single movie, I would enjoy them. But
it's just not something you seek.
Well, yeah, it's not my realm. I mean, the few movies that I have watched, yes, I thoroughly enjoyed. But
which ones did you watch?
Oh God, I've seen I think 1, 2, maybe all 3 Iron Mans. One Thor movie, maybe. Still never seen all of the Avengers, beginning to end. I think I saw 2 Captain Americas. Maybe that's all there is 2 Captain Americas. I don't know. Definitely none of the TV shows, that's for sure. So I think if I watched the most of the phases, so to speak, it was probably most of phase 1, and then just it's. I mean, I know people love and just can't wait for this shit, but like me, it's. I feel like I'm so far behind. For me to play catch up would be like having to enclose myself for an entire week and do absolutely nothing but binge for a week long, which I probably could have done with COVID, but it did not happen. But like I said, because I do have a respect and appreciation of dare I call comic book stuff fantasy stuff, but it really kind of is if you think about it. So I do have an appreciation for it, but I'm gonna let you kind of really indulge in nerdgasm here with
Well, I'm gonna make
Phase
this easy for
5
you.
coming up
I'm not gonna go
here in
too
the
in
Phase.
detailed with the shows and all that stuff because obviously
Gotcha.
people that want to watch it just watch the Comic-Con panel.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to discuss is that recently Disney, when I
Mm-hmm.
believe it was Comic-Con, they revealed their timeline for what they want to end Phase 4 with, and the
Mm-hmm.
shows that they're gonna release through Phase 5, which is
Mm-hmm.
from 2023 to 2025, I think.
5, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so the last movie in Phase 4 is Black Panther 2.
Okay.
And even, I know you don't you probably haven't watched it, but I'm pretty sure you've heard about what happened to the main actor Chadwick Boseman.
Of course.
So, I don't know, this is what has me curious. Do you think that they're going to CGI him the whole movie, or do you think they're going to have a death sequence where they have him in there, and he passes the torches onto somebody else, and they pick up
I
the mantle of Black Panther?
I don't know, and I'm really blind to answer this question. First off, I don't even have confirmation if they're even putting them in CGI. Do you? I mean,
They've had the trailer they released.
I didn't even see the
They
trailer.
were very vague about things. They showed Black Panther,
Okay.
then they
Mm-hmm.
showed T'Challa, which is Chadwick, the character he plays as
Mm-hmm.
like a mural, and then you have his mother basically saying you took my family and all that stuff. So they're pretty much saying that he dies,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if they're going to do it in a way where they CGI him into the movie and then give him like an ending sequence to give somebody else a mantle, or if they're
To
going
kind of
to
give it,
just
put
write
like
him
kind of give it
off.
closure.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good question. I'm gonna go and say no. I'm gonna go and say no. They don't do it.
I feel like no would be the safest bet because depending on how they CG somebody could really offend a lot of people, especially with someone of Chadwick's caliber.
No, I don't think so. I think the CGI. I mean, look at what wasn't it the Fast and Furious series? Didn't they do that with what's his name?
They
Can't think of his
actually
name, unfortunately. I know they used his brother to help, but
Paul
didn't they
Walker.
also Paul Walker? Thank you.
Well, the thing is that they didn't kill him in the movies. He's still alive in the movies.
Okay, but what I'm getting at is, didn't they also CGI his face to get him like exactly like, even though it's his brother?
Yes.
Okay, so my point is, they could do the CGI right. That's my point.
They could, but I feel like it would be
Like the technology is there.
Oh yeah, 100% the technology is there. Like if you watch Ghostbusters Afterlife, they got
I haven't seen it yet, so
well, okay, well you know that one of the Ghostbusters.
And I do want to watch that one.
It's not a spoiler.
Sorry, wait, go ahead.
So you know that one of the original Ghostbusters did pass away. I forgot what his name was.
Mm-hmm.
But without spoiling too much, they did CGI him into the movie in a very fitting way.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks for the spoiler, asshole.
Well, no, I mean you knew that. I mean they've done it with the female one too.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I swear to you, I didn't know that.
Okay, well it was a very minor spoiler.
Like I know the Ghostbusters come back. I didn't know that he also came back. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I apologize. It's a very minor spoiler, but it was very fitting. Okay.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's not going to stop me from seeing the movie. I'm still going to see it. Yeah, so I'm going to go and say no. They're not going to do that. However, I think for fan service, it would be awesome. But and I wouldn't be concerned about them getting it wrong. Like, no, absolutely not. That would be a sorry ass excuse in my opinion. Like
I feel like they would get it wrong if they kept him in there. I feel like the right thing to do would be to give him like a proper send off in the movie and then give it to someone else.
Yeah, which I think they're gonna do, but just probably not do the whole CGI thing. But I don't know.
Yeah,
don't know
because nobody knows right now. Like I said, the trailer was so vague that people are speculating on it. So even if you didn't watch Black Panther, you can still kind of give your 2 cents on it because everybody's guessing.
Yeah, no, 100%. What do you want? What do you want to see?
I would like to see a proper send off. I would like to see him in the movie as like a little cameo, like they did for Stan Lee in Endgame. Give him some kind of that scene that makes sense, and then give it to either his sister or another character. I forgot what the second tribe is, but give it to that guy, or one of the two people, and let them be the Black Panther.
Gotcha. Staying on the topic, but continuing from Black Panther. Looking at the Phase 5 list, I mean, Blade looks very interesting, or sounds interesting, I should say.
It's funny that you said
if
that because I was going to talk about that too.
Yeah, and I will say this, like I like for me to play catch up with this whole universe, like it's just not going to happen. But I will say this, like if I am going to probably like sit down and watch something, I would probably gravitate and watch the Loki stuff. Like that seems like more my jam right now. Like the whole thing, the character, the world. That's a little bit. Well, I don't know if they really go too fantasy esque in that. Like I know the Thor when they go to whatever world he's from, Asgard, I think is it? Am I right?
Oh, they destroyed that in the third movie. I know you're not going
Well,
to watch this,
whatever.
I'll spoil it.
No, that's fine because I probably won't watch all that stuff. But anyways, like the fantasy stuff, I freaking love. Like it's, I mean, that's my jam, right? So like,
You will definitely like Loki then.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I think I would probably like that, and I think also too the acting is, he's really fucking great in that character. It's like I don't know much of the comic, don't really know much of the character, but something tells me like, damn, he's the right person for it.
Yeah, what's his name? Tom Hiddleston?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he's a really good Loki. He makes
Yeah,
entertaining.
so I would definitely watch that, and then oh fuck, what was the other one that I saw on the list? It had like a green logo.
Oh, She-Hulk?
No, not She-Hulk. It was a different one.
Trying to think.
Can't,
Groot?
I don't, no, no. Wait, is Groot even on that list?
Yeah,
Groot
Groot's
on
gonna
those.
be. I think it's like a Disney movie or
I
like a
think
show.
a Disney Plus. Hold on, now I have to Google this because I want you to educate me here because I was like, what the fuck is this?
Okay, while you look for it, I will say that if you were to get into it right now, would be the best time because, like I said, they're transitioning the old out and bringing the new one. So half of Phase 4 and 5 is basically like a wiping of the story, making a new story.
So the retconning.
Well, not it's still continuous, but you won't have to watch the end game beyond that to understand what's going on now because they're basically continuing a different story.
I follow you. And actually, I kind of saw that trend. A lot of this stuff to me looks like new stuff, right? Like I have no idea what the fuck Thunderbolts are. When I first saw it, I thought it was Thundercats, and I got a boner. I'm like, wait, Thundercats is with Marvel? When did that happen? And I'm like, wait, no, it says Thunderbolts. Okay, calm down. Agatha, what the fuck is Agatha?
So,
but here's the one I want you to answer for me: Secret Invasion. What is that?
So, I'm not like my comic book information is very limited, but from what I understand, Secret Invasion plays with like the agents of Shield and what are they called? They're not the Krill or Kree, but basically it's these aliens that can basically shapeshift, come onto Earth, start infiltrating, our governments and our ranks, whatever, and then start these like wars. From what I've understood and what they're trying to set up, I could be wrong on that, but it seems like I can't remember their race, but they're like purple aliens that come in, they can shapeshift, and they just cause havoc because people don't know that it's someone else.
Gotcha. And then like I saw Echo, and I don't know, every time I see the word Echo, I think of Echo the Dolphin from Sega, so I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, the mutant stuff, I'm not really a big fan of. Oh, well, I'm not going to say a big fan. I don't know much of because I haven't read it. I just know, the basic Marvel stuff. But the new stuff they're coming in is usually like the mutants and some like the other Marvel characters that are minor but not taking a bigger role, like She-Hulk and all that stuff.
Yeah, like I said, like there's a lot of IP there that I have not damnest clue of what it is.
Same here. So, I'm just interested to watch it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure those that are, comic book buffs are, probably ecstatic, but me, I'm like horribly confused. Like, I mean, obviously from before, like, Captain America, anybody that was Avengers, like everybody knows those characters. Like,
yeah, those are mainstream.
Yeah, those are so mainstream. Like, it's just, but yeah, so those are the ones that I would probably actually tune in and actually take a look at. But so going back to Blade, because you said you did want to talk about that. That one is a little intriguing. So what are you expecting out of that?
So, one, I'm interested in it because the guy
Mm-hmm.
that plays Blade. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy that starred in True Detective season 3.
Oh yes, I was saying he was fan fucking tastic.
Yeah, and he's played in other great stuff like Alita Battle Angel and many more films that I enjoyed. So him being Blade is, in my opinion, a good choice because if it's not
I
Wesley
just
Snipes, him or Lance Reddick would be a second one.
Yeah, and we've already seen him in that kind of battle, right?
Yeah.
It was his yeah. So, anyways, like, oh, I didn't know he was the one being casted. So, like, that's interesting because I don't see him being that like mobile and like fast paced like because of True Detective, right? Like you get. I mean, you've seen him in other stuff, but I'm just going based off True Detective, and it's like, I mean, he was fantastic in it because like of how I'm not going to spoil, but how that show went, and he kind of
The aging and evolution of how his brain deteriorated because of
the
his
all. Like, I don't know if it really was considered Alzheimer's, but like
Alzheimer's,
yeah,
dementia, one of the two.
exactly. Like he did fantastic. So like that's my perception of him, and now that you're telling me he's Blade, it's like, okay, like he's a great actor, so he's probably gonna do a damn good job. But like just trying to put him from here to here, it's like, whoa, wait, what? Okay.
So I can see. So one, I'm not sure if you know this, but whenever Disney casts somebody as a superhero, they put him through very difficult training to get him buff and in shape.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that if he's cast, he has to do a lot of work to be
But
able to
how
do.
old is he?
He's like in his 40s, I think. I could be wrong, but I think he might just be in his 40s. He's not that old.
Okay.
Because when you see him in True Detective, they obviously age him up.
True. 100%. Yeah,
But
that's
he's
true.
got the acting talent, and obviously with
Uh-huh.
Disney's training regimens, they'll probably get him athletic enough to do some cool, fight sequences.
Mm-hmm.
And your boy Chris Harrington, aka Kit Harrington, is also going to probably be in there as well as a
Thank you.
cameo as Black Knight. So you'll be seeing like another version of like some kind of Blade-esque character, but as like an fighting mythical creatures.
And then of course he'll get his own spin-off.
I don't think Kit Harrington's character, the Black Knight, I don't think he's gonna get his own show. I think he's gonna be cameos in other shows.
Gotcha. And he'll get his own spin-off in Phase 7.
Yeah.
All right, so on to the next topic. You now want to talk about the MMO Game Addiction.
Actually, you
Um,
skipped ahead, but we can talk about that. Yeah. So obviously, you got me back into World of Warcraft, right?
yeah, because I'm a bad influence.
And I played World of Warcraft, in the end of 2005, and played it, on and off continuously for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, games like World of Warcraft, Destiny, Final Fantasy, and whatever other MMOs out there, they
Mm-hmm.
seem to have a very addictive trait about them that no matter what you do, you're willing to play it for hours on end, even if it's like the same repetitive task. You feel a sense of completion and progression while playing them. And it seems like no other games can copy that unless if they have basically that, artificial progression system that they just keep releasing every 6 to 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, how would you describe an MMO and why is it so addictive?
Man, I mean, really, that answer is it's going to vary by the person. First off, I mean, this kind of really only applies to those that do play it, or any MMO for that matter. But like, if I may turn back the hands of time here for a moment, and I guess answer this for myself, and it's probably will be a long-winded answer, but I've always been an RPG player. Now, and I know not all MMOs have to be MMORPG, right? But the majority of them are. So the very first MMO that I got to experience was, believe it or not, EverQuest, and that really was, dare I say, one of the first ones kind of ever. I mean, I don't really know what else kind of was there with that time, but
Maybe
as
RuneScape would be
far
the second one.
I don't know the exact timeline. Yes, RuneScape is out there, and then there's another one called, is it called Evo, which is still running.
Oh,
Or is
Eve.
it just Eve, or just Eve? I'm sorry,
Eve.
Eve. Yeah.
That one,
Um,
that one gets really intense. I'm not sure if you heard about the thousands of dollar battles where they go into fleets and just destroy them, and if they lose a
it's
ship,
yeah, no, it's ridiculous. But for me, being an RPG player before the world of MMOs, and knowing about EverQuest, like I knew it was going to be like love at first sight, because it's like taking my favorite genre of gaming, but now turn it into, well, MMO, massive multiplayer online. Regular RPGs are always single player offline. So now it's like, okay, I get my favorite game, much larger, and I get to play with other people. Like it just was a no brainer. It was a win-win-win for me. So that's what, like, Derek called it addicting, but I think it was more inviting. It was more, um, social, that you didn't get from a single player game. Now, a single player game, I get captivated from storytelling, characters, anything that you would get from a TV show or movie. Versus MMO, you could get those same elements, but it's more or less the social aspect, at least for a while, right? That then segued into, I played then Final Fantasy 11, and then ended up in WoW. And then WoW was totally like I said, it was like a social network for me. Once again, I don't really call that addicting, although you could say it is, because some people are addicted to social media. Some people are addicted to Facebook,
some
addicted to
people definitely.
Twitter.
Yep.
So it kind of evolved, right? It's like that, and then that was my social network. And then now it's kind of lost the social network aspect, and now the addiction is pretty much FOMO. It just is. It's like it's totally like fear of missing out. To your point, like, here's new content. Some of it is time gated, right? You have seasons now. You have to do XYZ in, it is a 4-month period. So it's like, oh, gotta get this done, gotta get this done. So those are my answers to the addiction factor, but they're probably gonna be different for everybody. However, I will say, and I think a lot of other people would agree with me, I think the fear of missing out is probably high on that list for a lot of people.
I would say yes. The FOMO is a real thing that a lot of gamers have to overcome. Because I used to have that same thing for a lot of games, and then I realized that it doesn't matter. It's just a game. You're not getting anything real out of it. But I know for you, I mean, besides like a self satisfaction, that's all you're getting. You're not getting anything tangible for yourself. It's just whatever you feel personal pride in. Which, like I said, whatever makes you happy is good. You should accept that. But I know your FOMO is so bad you won't play another game unless you play it exactly from launch, day one.
What, like a console game? Or just an MMO, another MMO in general?
Any kind of like mass multiplayer game.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, totally. That is 100% factual. Because like you don't have that, I don't know, even if seniority is the right word to use, but like, to your point, a perfect example of that was me then trying at one point to play Final Fantasy 14. Like, it's like when they reinvented themselves, because they flopped the first release and then they like carbon copied WoW, which kudos to them. They had to do it, and they're winning, right? They're making a shit ton of money now. I was like, oh, I could go back to this and give it a try. But because to your point, I wasn't there in the beginning. It's like, well, I can't get this, I can't get that. Like, yeah, I like to. Well, you're guilty of this too, man. You are a trophy hunter. You are a completionist. So you exactly know what I mean. When like, if you're not there from the beginning, well, you can't really be, in theory, a completionist, because you ain't gonna be able to get all that stuff.
I've also learned. Well, yes, I do like to complete games if I enjoy them, but I also come to the understanding of, if it's not possible anymore, just play for fun and drop it. Like, it took me a while to also get over that FOMO, because I used to do the same thing too. Like, if I have to play it, whenever it comes out, I have to complete it whenever it's fresh, or I won't be able to do it at all. It took me a long time, like 10 years of gaming, to realize it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I think for console gamings, I could come to that same thing, because it's a lot easier. Like,
well, for any game, like World of Warcraft, I was there from the beginning, and I played it all the way until Warlords of Draenor, until I realized that I'm playing this and I'm really not getting anything out of it except for me just putting my own time and effort into it. That's it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't getting anything from it, and if I miss something, it's not gonna destroy my life.
So you're saying it's destroying my life?
No, I'm like, obviously I don't want to like insult people, but I'm just saying,
Hey,
like,
when did this podcast turn into an intervention?
I'm just saying I'm just saying personally, in order for me to enjoy games more, I had to learn how to let go, if that made sense. Because I used to be like very like, oh, if I miss out on this, I'm gonna be upset or whatever. I had to learn to let that go.
The other thing you also know about me is, and we talk about this a lot off the podcast, and we don't really have to go down that rabbit hole now. But I love my IPs.
You do love your
I
IPs.
am a fanboy for the things I like. Now that's not to say I don't explore anymore, because like I said, I brought up like the Octopath Traveler, this and this. But that also caters to, I like my certain companies that make video games, right? Because those
They're
are also
very
Square
loyal.
Enix games. I'm very loyal.
Like, you won't see the faults in Nintendo, but you'll stick with them.
Exactly. You hear that, ladies? I'm loyal. So so yeah. I mean, even, and that stands true when I was back in the Super Nintendo days. If it was Squaresoft, I'm fucking buying that game, because I know the integrity of that company and they put out good games, at least for me. And, I think that's for the majority of people. A lot of people's classic games are from Squaresoft in that era. So that's not to say there's other, companies that make fantastic games. Obviously, there are. But my realm of exploring those things nowadays is like slim to none. Octopath itself, even though that was from Square Enix, was really me going out on a limb, because I admittedly said I fucking bought it because of the gimmick of the 2D HD. I just saw it. It looked like a freaking pop-up book to me, and I'm like, damn, that looks fucking sweet. Don't know anything else about the damn game, but I'm going to get it. And ended up loving it. So,
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, when I say, I learned to let go, that's just, my personal enjoyment. And obviously, the beauty of games is that everybody has their own take on gaming to make it enjoyable for them. Like, you're dedicated and loyal to what you love, and then when you get like certain games, like, from Square Enix or whatever, you play them until they're 100%ed. Like, you find every small detail, you enjoy it, you respect it, then you move on once you're done. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, a lot of people do that, and there's definitely games where I've done the same thing too, where I just love it so much. Like Crash Bandicoot, I played it on the PS1, and I played the remastered version, completed both versions 100%, and I just enjoyed it. And I'll even go back after I completed it.
Like, it's been a while for me, but there has been games that, excuse me, I was going to belch really loud, that I've played from beginning to end multiple times. Like, Final Fantasy VII, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, Super Mario World, Donkey Kong 1, 2, and 3, Resident Evil 2. I mean, believe me, there's a library of games that I've played ad nauseum and flipped from beginning to end multiple times. MMO obviously changed that, right? It's because the amount of, like, you will never, and I should say never, because there are a few people in this world that have done it, but to complete an MMO is so daunting and damn near unrealistic.
It's
like,
very
to your
challenging.
Point, and challenging. But to your point of conquering fear of missing out, and now it sounds like I'm going to be defending myself here, but I have done that, and like without going too deep, like, I don't look to get like Gladiator, which is PvP being top tier every season, or conquering the hardest content of the game, the hardest difficulty. Like, I don't do that. I play very leisurely. Although that leisure play is still a tremendous amount of time, but nonetheless, like, yeah, the actual term FOMO, like, I miss out stuff all the time, and it doesn't bother me.
So this is kind of like changing a little bit, because as much as I love MMO games, because like obviously World of Warcraft I've been with it for such a long time, and then
Mm-hmm.
Destiny, since launch of 2014, I've been with it. I've tried
Mm-hmm.
other games like Elder Scrolls, Final Fantasy 14,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
Fallout. They didn't really get me because once you're in an MMO, it's hard to bounce around because there's just so much to do in every single game.
There is.
But the one thing that I find interesting is how successful MMOs are. That other games that aren't really adapted to MMO, like the MMO style, like the gameplay and all that stuff, try to
Mm-hmm.
implement some version of live service like Call of Duty or Fortnite introducing a battle pass or some kind of weird artificial progression monetized.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that games see MMOs and like, oh yeah, it's successful, they're making a lot of money, and then they try to find their version of it. But when they do it, they implement it in such a horrible way where it's like they're not even trying to make you get that sense of progression and satisfaction. They're just trying to get money out of you. And
I think. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Finish.
I was just gonna say
No, no.
I hate games that try to mimic MMOs but do it in a way that it's only to monetize.
100%. And I mean, that's a big thing with mobile games, at least. But, speaking to this point, like MMO, like I immediately tied that to RPG, but that's not necessarily the case anymore, right? Like you brought up Battle Royals, which is another great example. Battle Royals are really MMOs. Um, and to coincide with what you're saying, like the copycat league that's out there, like you mentioned Fortnite, they're obviously number one in regards to that genre. And with the copycat league, like I mean, another game that I play every now and then, talking about earlier, like Final Fantasy for Soldier. Once again, being loyal to my IPs. I mean that really is uh, it's a battle royal fighting game, just like Fortnite, just like fuck, I don't know what else is out there, but I
is
know there are others.
is
Go ahead.
that Final Fantasy game a BR game? I thought it was like a team, like
No,
a free for all on a smaller scale. Like isn't it like 7 to 8
no,
players?
it's no, it's a battle royal. I mean, you could solo queue, but generally speaking, it's depending on. There's only two maps out right now, but there's one map. It's 25 teams of three, so it's 75 total. Um,
It's much bigger than I
and
thought it is, and that's just a mobile game, right?
that's just a mobile game. I know people are clamoring, and I would co-sign this to get it on Steam. Because you can still play it on mobile with a controller. I tried it, didn't really care for it, but maybe on Steam it would feel more fluid. It should be on Steam or PS4, whatever, something PS5. Like it does belong on a console. I never played Fortnite. I am not good with first person shooters anymore. My hand eye coordination has diminished over time.
From all that wanking.
Uh, yeah, all that wanking. But here now it's gonna sound like I'm immediately defending my IP, but
It fits your
Final Fantasy,
playstyle.
it is. It's not just. I mean, yes, it's a first person shooter. You could play and just use guns all the time, but they have materia, which is magic for those that know out there, out of mana. There's magic involved, so you could use fire, water, lightning, whatever, etc. You get to ride on the cool chocobos and fucking ride around and shit, and there's summons, so you could summon big ass beasts for those that don't know how that works. Um, so yeah, that those dynamics alone are so much different than Fortnite, because Fortnite is just, I'm not saying run and gun, but it's just guns. Unless I'm missing something, they took
Well,
away the building.
yeah.
So
Now
that's
it's
the
now
thing.
it's running gun.
They took away the building stuff, which if I ever was gonna play Fortnite, and I remember asking this to people, like, "Hey, do people play just to fucking build and not even like shoot?" Like, "Oh yeah, yeah, there's builders." I'm like, I could do that. Like, I
Well,
don't like.
they have creative mode where you can make your own game modes and worlds and all that stuff, like basically like Minecraft and Fortnite.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But in the normal competitive play, they took building out because I think it's still in there, but people likes to play the non-build version because the skill gap between people that are new versus veterans was just
mm-hmm,
so high. Like if you played it constantly, their building speed and the way they can navigate throughout everything, you were never gonna win. You will be outskilled, outclassed every single time, and
and
that and that
that
deterred
makes total sense.
players. So this no build thing brought a
Mm-hmm,
lot of players back because it kind of evens the playing field with just like shooting skills instead of shooting
mm-hmm.
and building skills.
Yeah, and that makes total sense, and that really is a smart move on them. But I liked that unique dynamic, and I think that's what really builded their empire, though, if you think about it. So
Yeah, yeah, it did build their empire, and they still have building, and I'm pretty sure they'll keep being a main part of the game. But right now, it's kind of split between no build and build, just because depending on whatever people want, they want to be real competitive or just casual.
gotcha.
So, kind of continuing this topic,
Sure.
if World of Warcraft wasn't your first MMO that you picked up, what would be
Yeah.
your second one? Because I know for me, like I started with World of Warcraft, but then transferred to Destiny at a later end.
I mean, I was close to playing Destiny when it first came out, but think at that time just had no one really that wanted to play with me. Like even like Monster Hunter. I don't know if you would consider Monster Hunter an MMO.
I wouldn't consider it to the scale of like
Smaller
Destiny.
scale.
Yeah,
Like,
smaller scale. Yeah.
I think it depends on which version of Monster Hunter, because I think there are a couple that are
Monster Hunter
more
World would be
elaborate.
more considered the MMO version of Monster Hunter.
Yeah, so like even Monster Hunter I enjoyed thoroughly, but didn't have nobody to play with, and like that type of game, you are extremely limited to what you accomplish by yourself. Like it's just impossible to kill the larger dragons and monsters, I guess in this case, to get materials to build, make your top tier weapons and armor, etc. If I were to have another one, I mean, I guess I would default right back to Final Fantasy because it's, I love Final Fantasy. There is one coming out. I don't know when.
Another one
Uh,
coming out.
Another one, what?
Another MMO, because I know you were
Oh,
looking
there's tons of
at
MMOs.
New
There's always new
World
MMOs.
and then got to
Yeah, so
Terra.
New World was no, and look how ah, like every new MMO comes out, it's like, oh, here comes the next World of Warcraft killer, and it's like, yeah, bye, see you in like 6 months, because everything that's tried ends up faltering, and that is exactly what's going on with New World. It looked phenomenal, it looked beautiful, but I don't know what they did to fail, but apparently they're failing again, or now I should say again. No, I don't want to butcher the name of it. I want to say it's called like Age of Creation or something.
Oh
Uh,
yes, I that one. That one's basically like the scale of Eve, because is that the one where the world evolves depending on which server you go into? Like each server will be different from each other depending on where you start, how you level factions, and all that stuff.
I think so. There's so also little known about it, but like the footage that's out there, and I think there's like, I don't know if you want to call it alpha testing, but that one looks so beautiful. Um, but I don't know. It's a smaller company. It's not like a big major company doing it. So that's the fear with it. Like as far as how successful it'll be because of who's making it. And I
Well,
don't even know
not
who that
not
is, if
only
I'm being
that, but
honest.
like the things they want to achieve are so grand scale for being such a small
Hmm.
developer. I
Hmm.
just feel like they're gonna
Yeah,
have like a lot of technical issues to
yeah.
bring it out.
And the popularity is gaining because of how beautiful it looks for an MMO. Um, and they probably will get a lot of buys. So, but that's to your point, being a small developer like that people do not want to log into a game with so much technical difficulties, or even waiting in a queue, which kind of happens almost all the time with new MMOs. I know like Lost Ark had that issue. Um, and no one likes that. Like people want to fucking get in and play.
Yeah, nobody
Um,
wants to wait in like the four
Nobody
hour
wants to
waiting
wait in
queues.
line. Hmm.
Isn't that what killed
So
Final Fantasy for like 2 weeks? Is that the loading times were so bad that they had to just go back to World of Warcraft?
I think that part is true, and it gained so much popularity, and that was due to streamer influencers, by the way. They had to, and this is, I never thought I'd hear this. They had to suspend selling digital key codes.
Because the
Like
servers were
it's
overloaded.
it's like what? Like that's how popular FF14 got for a while. Like it was ridiculous. Like it was just nuts. So
I'm surprised they didn't do a stress test, because I know, I mean, you know, World of
I mean,
Warcraft, they do stress tests all the time. Like they do million player server tests to see if they can handle it.
well, while stress tests nowadays are done via beta.
Well, yeah, but they also
I
could do
mean,
it in their server rooms, like do little soft patches and see how well they can handle. Like that's
I'm,
why
I'm
they do like the offline maintenance, just to do other testing.
Yeah, I'm certain. Like, I'm sure they have other tricks that we don't even know about. But I don't know how you really achieve that when you don't like everybody. I'm sure every company that brings out an MMO like has their they have goals, right? But like they don't know how it's going to skyrocket to even begin to test. Like that might be wasted money. Like I don't know. Like I don't know it from like an investment perspective, but like it could just be a waste of money that they can't afford to even do.
One thing I will give World of Warcraft credit for, and this is only because I played other MMOs, kind of like, like I said, Fallout, ESO, and even Final Fantasy 14 for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
World of Warcraft somehow maintained a very secure anti-cheat system, because
Yes.
I don't think I've ever run into a single cheater in World of Warcraft, but I've ran into cheaters in Destiny, ESO, Fall, etc. It's just World of Warcraft, for some reason, their anti-cheat system, whoever makes it is a genius, and the way they constantly update it to keep that there is impressive to me, and I love that level of maintenance every week.
That is a very valid point. I've said that every now and then. Like it is the one game that never has been hacked, and God forbid if it ever does. But yeah,
Hasn't it been hacked once?
It's only been DDoS. They've been DDoSed like
What about that
many
player killing
times.
curse?
What was that?
What about that player killing curse in vanilla?
I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
There was a character. I could be getting the story wrong. Maybe
You
it was like
sure? You
maybe it
sure it
was
wasn't that South Park episode that just messed with your mind?
no. This is an actual event that happened, but I don't know if it was a hack or an in-game event. But there was
Mm-hmm.
supposedly some kind of like blight thing that infected a character. They went to a capital city like Stormwind or Overmore,
Oh,
and it started
okay.
killing everybody.
So no, those. I mean, yes, but those were just dare I call them creative in-game game mechanics.
Okay,
So
so that wasn't a hack
I
that
don't.
spreaded.
Excuse me.
So that wasn't a hack that spread, because I know that there was like a
No,
weird like
not
bug
not,
from
not
a
that I know.
boss
So
that
like there was
transferred.
another, yeah. So there was another thing, and actually, and I know this because I played Warlock, but there was a Warlock
You only
Fell
play a
Hunter,
warlock.
and I only play Warlock. That's not true nowadays, but yes, it is very true. Fell Hunters, they were able to pretty much like absorb a particular attack, and if the game wasn't coded properly, which it wasn't, they were able to absorb certain boss attacks that they could then, in return, Earth back to their main cap or to a main capital city, go out to an auction house, use spell ability, and blow everybody up. Those, yeah, no, that has nothing to do with hacking. That was just, I guess, creative game mechanics, but in the way that they were poor game mechanics. So, in some
Creative
capacity, but
exploits with bad
depending on who
mechanics.
you ask. Yeah, I mean, you could say that's an exploit, but
Yeah, because I remember I wasn't there for that part, because I think it was like the
Mm-hmm,
time I logged off. But I remember seeing clips of people going into Stormwind, and it was like a
mm-hmm.
disease buff on the upper right hand side that they came in contact with another character, and it would tick down until they would just
Mm-hmm.
pass away. and
Yeah,
and even if they respawned, they kept passing away.
yeah, like I just gave you one scenario, but I'm sure there have been others. But I don't know them all, and I don't like vividly remember them. But like, there's other ones too that were like non PvP oriented, and like I can't think of their names right now, but there's very famous. I shouldn't say very famous, but there's some very notorious people. Let's put it that way. That put posts on their YouTube like same concept. They'll go like eat up an ability from a mob or boss, and then they'll go somewhere else and like end up like two shotting the boss or something
Oh,
for
they do
like
that with PvP all
for,
the time.
well, it can be like, yeah, it could be for PvP, but they'll apply that to PvE as well. And I mean, I applaud them because they're. I mean, it's not like they're exploiting. It's creative gaming mechanics. Like
Well,
it's like math, really, if you think about it.
it is an exploit, but not like in a negative way, because they were able to learn the
Calculated.
game enough where they're able to
Mm-hmm.
find this bad coding and take advantage of it.
Yeah, and it's calculated.
Yeah,
It's all calculated.
it's skill
So
too. And that like
it is skill.
learning an exploit is skill. If,
It
as much as
is.
people don't want to agree with it, and they hate it, it's skill.
No, I agree. It is.
Because I love seeing like Wowhead post like a new like damage meter, like 15 million damage AOE,
Right.
or like a one
Right.
shot warrior PvP
Right.
thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's always fun to see that stuff.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I think it's cool. I always think it's cool.
Yes. So I guess moving on to the next one, even though it's kind of out of order, but that's fine. It kind of relates. Um, this one is for Dungeons and Dragons, another fantasy game. Um, this is kind of inspired from Stranger Things, but then also my Destiny group is also making a D&D group. I've
Mm.
been interested in fantasy like board games for a while, but I've
Mm-hmm.
never known anybody, and plus I don't think I'm creative enough mentally to get into like the role playing aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been
Well,
fascinated with, like I watch Critical Role and I love the way they get into their characters and how they express themselves and how they act, which I'm surprised you're not in because you used to do like comedy script, improv, and you also did your writing. So I'm surprised you haven't gotten into this kind of stuff because you love acting in a way. You even were on shows before.
ah, but it's different. It's it's definitely a craft. There's a very large passion for it. Not to say that I don't have those things. It's not my realm like that. However, and people are gonna laugh at me, especially those that may be watching me right now. But I would probably be inclined to more or less try LARPing than I would D&D.
Isn't LARPing kind of like D&D, like live action roleplay?
Oh, 100% it is. But like it's I guess it's like MMO D&D.
Yeah,
I
because
mean, if
like
you really think about it, it kind of is.
yeah. Well, the reason why I say this is, like I said, my fascination because I've watched enough people, and I think it's fascinating people can get these characters. But I also
Mhm.
think it's interesting because this kind of relates to you in a way because you haven't told anybody about this yet, but you've written stuff before, like I said, comic sketches. You've also tried writing a story. You even have a book that somebody else wrote, but you kind of put your input on it. The stories
Yeah.
of what Shiesty, what was it called?
Well, it's not really the stories of Shiesty, but Shiesty's in the book, yes.
Um, and you
The
also
character Shiesty from Warcraft, by the way, for anybody out there that wants clarity.
And you also love acting. Like I could see you if you were to play a character, I would see you playing a bard because you like to act
Sing
and
and dance.
entertain. Yeah.
I think bar would be cool. I mean, I think a lot of different things would be cool. It's a fantastic question. I never really sat and wondered, why haven't I done this yet? I don't know. It's not like that. I don't really have a drive, I guess, to do it. But B, it's like it's not on the realm of possibilities that I wouldn't do it or wouldn't like it. Kind of going back into like the previous topic of like talking about fear of missing out. Like unless it was a fresh group, probably like how you were saying, right? You may I think you kind of like hopped over this when you started this topic, but you mentioned your Destiny group is starting it,
Yes.
and you kind of didn't say whether you're in or out. So
So
maybe we'll get back to that. But if I may just really quickly kind of get my piece out here, I think that would be the realm I would probably take it, and just like everyone has to be level one, right? New
mm,
game, everything. Versus I wouldn't be able to join someone else's group and be level one, and then they're like fucking whatever level
oh
they
no,
are, 30,
yeah,
40,
obviously.
50. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's like I wasn't there from the beginning. I missed out already.
Mm.
Um, however, I mean, this might come off bad too. My age in my life, I feel like it's also a little too late. I know it never is,
Oh, there's
but
people in
like
their 60s still doing
I
that.
I I I understand, but like it's just my lame excuse.
Okay. No, I understand because like as much as it's gonna sound like a very like you care what people think about you. For a while, I thought it was kind of weird. Like usually, whenever people think of like D&D or whatever,
Mhm.
like from South Park, they're like, oh, they're like nerds, creeps, or whatever. And I had to break out of that because once I met people that actually did it, they're like one of the most fascinating people of all time because they're very creative. Most of the time, they're funny. Well, depending on who you meet. Um,
Mhm.
but the fact that they're able to create what they call campaigns, which is basically their story. Obviously, you can take them from online, but the people I know, like from Destiny,
Mhm.
one guy took the time, like I think it was like 2 weeks. He wrote out his the whole campaign story, which I thought was fascinating, and then he asked the people that are participating what characters they want to be, what their names are, and then they kind of come up with like their own abilities and stats and their traits, like like humor wise, or if they're like shy or whatever. I
Mhm.
think that creative process for D&D is unique that I don't think I've seen anywhere else.
No,
And the fact that
it
it's like
totally is.
all these people are communicating on this, fictional story and making it feel realistic is also, in my opinion, entertaining. That like I'm not a part of their first campaign that they're starting, but I've signed up to be a witness, if that makes sense. So I'm not playing, but I get to
I'm gonna be
watch.
the guy in the corner jerking off to you guys.
But I'm like a spectator basically. So I asked if I can join and watch them and learn how this works. Like I said, I've never been a part of these groups, so I don't know like how to act, how to like express certain characters. So I want to watch and kind of basically be an understudy for them. And then maybe during their second campaign, I would like to maybe participate.
I think your approach, there's nothing wrong with your approach, and dare I say this, but that would probably be a similar approach I would take if I before I made that, dare I say, leap of faith of actually doing it myself. Because like I think we're probably on the same wavelengths of this. Like we obviously know what D&D is, we have a gist of it, but we truly don't know like the day-to-day ops, right? The inner workings of it to actually indulge and put ourselves in that, as you say, campaign. Like I mean, I'm pretty sure I've heard it before, but I didn't really truly fucking know all that shit. So it's like, if I were, I think there's nothing wrong with that approach. Like you're studying it, and you're like, okay, now I know exactly how I can partake, and dare you say, be successful at it.
Mm. And so this D&D group is online, but the guy that's making this campaign, he has a custom game table where
Mm-hmm.
he like lays down these maps and these like sections like a forest, mountain, caves, dungeons, whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
he actually makes set pieces, like little like chessboard pieces,
Tabletops. Mm-hmm.
yeah, of like what the characters look like, and he moves
Mm-hmm.
them and how they look.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's like one of the coolest things. That one, there's also like a craftsmanship with making these little like novelty items to also add to the sense of fantasy.
Mm-hmm. To kind of segue backwards ever so slightly, but staying on topic, I can't remember exactly what they named their company, but a lot of the original um, World of Warcraft people, or just Warcraft in general, they started their own company to make a tabletop D&D type game. Um, and I don't know if that's worth looking into as well.
World of Warcraft would have been a great thing. Like Warcraft 1 to 3 was all real time strategy where you're going through these like tower esque things and you're progressing to them.
Mm-hmm.
They had the best
But
setup for that.
they're releasing like I think I don't know if it went through a Kickstarter or anything, because they really started back from the bottom up. And to your point, like they have like this, I guess you want to call it a starter set, but they'll no, but like they have all the little figurines and all that shit already packaged in this box or whatever. So not to say like that's probably what I'm going to gravitate to, but like no, I'm just saying like there's options, right? It doesn't have to be D&D. I don't know what other options there are, but I'm pretty sure there are. So
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
like you said, LARPing is like
yeah.
basically D&D, but not centered around just their rule set. You can create whatever fantasy rule set you want. But
Oh, LARPing is like, I mean, like it's funny that I said it that way, but it truly is. Like it is like MMO D&D. Like you go out, like I looked into it, but I never pulled the trigger on it. But like there are groups that will go out on a trip to Bufu, to some like forest preserve, and like not like in the metropolitan area, but like they'll go out,
yeah, they'll
and
set up like
and
scrolls, potions, and all that stuff.
that's where they'll go throw down. And it's like they it's almost like a camp trip.
And they
But
dress up too with like these cool, like
they'll dress
basically
up.
cosplay.
They will dig a hole, shit in the ground, and bury it. Like no, that is what they fuck. Like it's legit LARPing. Like it's just like they do it legit. Like it's crazy. It's so crazy. The only time like they involve like real world people is like God forbid someone fucking has like a stroke or something. I don't know, but like It is amazing. It's crazy. It's crazy, and you'll get kicked out
if you do it
don't.
wrong, yeah,
Yeah.
or if you don't take it serious enough too.
Yep.
Because
And
like,
that's the part. And that's the part that like I think is the killer part for me. It's like I could take it serious when I want to, but
but
to
also
be
have fun.
on 100%, that's the part where I don't think I could commit.
But on the other hand, that's also depending on the group. Like, not every group is 100%
Probably true.
hardcore. There's like
Probably not.
there's
Probably true.
casual, more fun groups. But do you want to know what started this whole like want to get into it?
Is there a girl?
No, it actually started in 2020 when me, you, and our shared friend Ivan went to that bar arcade place for Pokemon Go,
Okay.
and they had some game stuff there. But I was also talking to some people that were talking about their campaign for D&D, and I was
Mhm.
asking them questions, and they were showing me pictures of like their custom table sets and what they do and how they dress up, and I was
Mhm.
like, for some reason, it just enchanted me so much where I just had to do research and keep watching, and that's what made me go into Critical Role, and then further down the rabbit hole to where we are today, where I'm finally
Yeah, I'm
taking
talking about.
where I'm finally taking the steps with like the Destiny. Well, luckily
Mhm.
the Destiny group was interested, so now I get to watch them do it, and then maybe
Mhm.
next campaign I get to participate.
I mean that really is a hardcore hobby, right? Like probably equally the time that I invest in WoW is probably the time those people invest in D&D.
Well, it depends because
I
some
mean,
people do like 2 hour campaigns like every week, and then some people that do 8 hour campaigns, like 8 hour story sessions where they progress, in that one thing.
that. I mean, that to me that's impressive. Like,
Yeah, but there's different levels, like novice, casual, and then obviously just hardcore people.
yeah, different levels: easy mode, normal mode, hard mode,
So,
very
may
hard mode.
so are you saying that potentially, depending if I bug you enough, you might be willing to LARP or do the World of Warcraft one?
It doesn't have to be World of Warcraft. It doesn't. I don't know. But LARPing, I may try that. Like if you could find like a 1 day or a one campaign event, I would probably give it a go.
I'll be
Not
the
guaranteed. Not guaranteed.
I'll be the
But
assassin if you go out just slice your
I,
neck.
I that would be that I would try it. I would try it at least. Like it's not a bucket list item for me by any stretch of imagination, but
It'd just be
it,
fun to try out.
it'd be fun to try out, 100%. Now getting involved in D&D, not so much. But yeah, I think I'd try a LARPing session. Yeah.
Yeah, because like my interest in it is
It
like not.
sounds fun and it seems fun. Like it just, especially if it's a large group.
Yeah,
Especially if it's a large group. If it's a smaller group, maybe not so much. But like, yeah, I've seen some shit and it's pretty funny. I mean, not funny like laughing at them. It's just like funny, like damn, like that's impressive. Like,
have
holy
you ever
shit.
seen the movie Drill Bit Taylor with Owen Wilson?
I don't think so. No,
Oh, because I was gonna say
doesn't
that
ring a bell.
there's a scene in there where there's people that LARP, and they're doing like this big battle scene where they're like
Mm-hmm.
charging each other to oppositions, and then
Mm-hmm.
Owen Wilson just comes in and starts beating some of them up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like
I wonder if I've seen just that that spot of it because I know I've seen different things and I don't know if that's exactly what I've seen, but I've known like other movies is made fun of it and stuff and or maybe TV shows. So, but yeah.
But yeah, I just want to say that's for my curiosity. Like, I would not. I don't think I'm going to be hardcore like any of the other people because, like, it's like you said, it takes a lot of dedication. That's not
Mm-hmm.
something I'm willing to commit to. But if I can
Mm-hmm.
find like like the Destiny group, if it could be something very casual, maybe like 2 hours a week, a very like minimal campaign where it takes like 4 sessions to do, I'd be willing to do that and just give
Do
it a
it.
try.
Do it. I say go for it.
So I guess moving on to the fantasy realm, uh, what game world would you like to enter if you were able to move on to another dimension or reality?
So kind of easy for me. I wish I could elaborate even to a point of um, which area, which town, but I didn't really dive that too deep in it. But if I were able to enter any reality to live in and just be peaceful, it would definitely be the Pokemon world. End of story. Throw me in Pokemon. Like, I just feel like, let me be that 10-year-old boy that'd be sent away to go catch Pokemon and become a Pokemon. Like, come on, man. Like, it's I love it. I would love to be Pokemon world.
So, since you're the one that posed this question, so if I was to join one of these worlds, would I just be like a normal bystander like I am now, or will I have like the powers of whatever that reality is?
I would say you would have the powers, 100%. You wouldn't be you entering that world and not be able to like partake and do no. Like you.
I was gonna
would
say
be...
that would suck to like join World of Warcraft and get like destroyed by the undead.
Yeah, exactly. If you were to join World of Warcraft, you would have to be a particular class, whatever, and then be.
I accidentally spawn in Stratholme and
I
get killed.
guess technically you don't have to be a class if you want. You could just be a farmer and have a freaking house in Elwynn Forest. That's up to you. But like, no, you would have to embody, not necessarily a character already in that world, but you would have to embody that world.
Okay, because I actually had two answers depending on depending on whatever rule set you wanted. But yeah, one would be Destiny's world, before the collapse, because you obviously don't play Destiny, but basically Destiny before the darkness happened and the collapse of civilization, humankind was able to travel to other planets like Mars, Venus, and many more, and they were basically vibrant cities, life on them, and they were just constantly traversing the solar system before everything happened. I would love to be in that world where I can travel to different planets and see different species of creatures and just see like different environments all around. But if I had to join a world where I had powers, I would probably...
You're telling me you can't have powers in Destiny? Come on, that can't be factual.
Well, you do have powers in Destiny, but that's after the collapse, and I don't think I want to fight a whole endless horde of creatures and destruction. Gotcha. But if I were to have powers, I would go to Star Wars to continue the space theme of travel. I'd be in Star Wars and I'd be Darth Vader. Basically for the power, but for the good side.
You'd be a Sith.
I wouldn't be a Sith, but I want the powers of Darth Vader, but for the Jedi side.
I don't know if you can have that. I mean, I guess you're just... Well, ultimately, then you're just a fucking Jedi.
Well, Jedi with Vader's powers.
Jedi's have Vader's powers.
If you look at... Well, not to get too nerdy here, but his power is as strong because of his midichlorian count.
Well, okay, yeah, they're stronger, but come on now.
Yeah,
Jedi powers are still fucking pretty badass. Come on.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I don't want to get beat by Darth Vader and killed like a youngling. But yeah, I would love to go into a world where I can travel because I've always been just somebody that wanted to explore, and if I can experience safe space travel, I would take that any day. And if I could just grab like a soda from the fridge without getting up, I could do that. I would love to do that too.
Gotcha. I mean, no, space is definitely awesome. I would co-sign that too. That would probably be a very high number 2 for me. Anything space related. I mean, just that idea to, when you explain Destiny, in my head, I'm like, yeah, that would be fucking dope. I mean, for me, if I'm, talking back about Pokemon, I mean, just the idea of, being able to throw out a flying Pokemon and just get it on top of it and go wherever the fuck I want to go, or a water Pokemon just to go over oceans.
I feel like it wouldn't be as easy as the game's portrayed to be. You're riding a Squirtle and you're just getting splashed by waves the whole time.
Pretend with me, okay?
Gyarados goes underwater, you're drowning, you can't get back up.
But no, I want to be in the anime world, okay, where everything is rainbows and butterflies.
Pikachu Thunderbolt you, you're dead.
There you go. Thunderbolt doesn't do shit to me. I just get fried for a second, then I go back to my normal tone.
But you have to live in a world with Mr. Mime, and that's kind of difficult.
That's kind of creepy, of course. Yeah, you definitely be sleeping with one eye open. I don't know how Ash's mom does it. Well, probably do. But but no, I just think that concept is just fucking awesome, and it's obviously some people even just discuss, when they're drunk, instead of being in the Pokemon world, you just throw that here, like, oh, what if we had Pokemon in our world?
Well, we pretty much do. Pokemon are animals, and like.
Oh, that's true, but no one fucking tries to get on top of a bald eagle and fly around, or
Oh,
get
dude,
on
I sent a cat to attack people.
Or try to ride a dolphin across the ocean. I mean, no one's trying that stuff.
That's them. Whenever I talk to my cat, I always look at a human, like, I'll be like, Ella, you scratch, and well, obviously she doesn't listen because I don't have enough badges. But
exactly,
so I try.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're in the Pokemon world, you could do that, right? So yeah, I think there's a what's the word I'm looking for? It'd just be like really, really cool in my opinion. So
no, I agree. Like, Pokemon would be a cool world, but like, if it wasn't the anime version of like the video game version of Pokemon, and it's more realistic, like Detective Pikachu, I feel like it'd be much more terrifying than it seems.
100%, but like
having a hunter come at you and kill you in your sleep, that would be terrifying.
It would still be a cool world.
So what would be your second one? I'm actually surprised that you haven't said World of Warcraft, because that was one of mine. If it was like third or fourth option,
I knew that was going to come out of you. Well, in my rebuttal to that is, I already live in the World of Warcraft world, so like,
yeah. There's no arguing against that. You do live there.
So I already do that already. So this is a fantasy question. That's a reality. Man, like honestly, in number 2, I did think about it for a little bit, but I couldn't come up with anything. Like I mainly try to think of like, okay, would it be like Hyrule with Zelda? It's like, I don't know, not really. It's kind of like it could get boring.
You have to deal with Ganon every single time,
right? And every incarnation of them. Yeah, I couldn't really think of one, man. Like I really couldn't. And the whole concept of being in the Pokemon world would have been awesome. Like I said, I tried to even think further, and like I would really have to sit down here and pull out a big map. Like, would I want to be in Kanto, Johto, Galar, whatever, and then which town would I want to live in?
If you're in the Pokemon world, you get to travel all of them, so it doesn't matter.
Well, no, exactly, no.
Except for the Hisuiya region,
and that's why I think it's so. I don't want to say glamorous, but like that sense of adventure is so large, similar to your space one, right? Like that adventure is just so, gratifying if it was possible. And then the different ways you could.
You could kind of do that now by going to like China, Russia. No, I'm messing with you. Of
course. But, I still can't fucking jump on the back of a Charizard and fly over there and not have to pay for airfare.
I mean, you can try. It just probably won't take off. I mean, there's people that cosplay as Charizard. No, I'm messing with you. That'd be cool.
Yeah. If I had a number 2, I couldn't really come up with a number 2. So, it's Pokemon and that's it.
I know that was a difficult question because like my number 2 is still space. Like it's like if it wasn't Destiny, it'd be Star Wars. Like I know how
Yeah, but Star Wars isn't a video game world.
No, Star Wars is. Star Wars has many video games.
It has many video games, but that's
still a video game.
That's not where it originated from. It originated with just a fucking movie.
Okay, now you're adding rules.
It turned like okay, if you want me to get really nitpicky on my question here, originated from video games. Okay.
Now that changes
Destiny
everything.
Was a good answer. Destiny was a good answer. It was a great answer.
When you said video games, I immediately thought like Force Unleashed, Fallen Order and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Or the Old Republic.
Like, I mean, there's like other. I mean, I don't know how you really quantify like the Resident Evil world. Like, would have been cool to be in that city. No, that'd be stressful as shit. Like, I gotta survive zombies all the time.
And not to mention those giant Terminator tyrants.
Yeah, that's not a cool world to live in. Like, no. So like Pokemon, like, I mean, it depends on how you depict it. Is it like Rainbows and Butterfly Pokemon world, or is it like you said, Detective Pikachu Pokemon world?
Or you're getting killed by Giratina.
Yeah, right. Either which way, I would take either or. But number 2, I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah, it's difficult because, like I said, my number 2 is basically another version of Destiny.
Yeah, well, which is fine. I mean, because you have that reoccurring theme, right? And kind of like I said, similar to mine, just that sense of adventure that is more accessible than our real world
Yeah.
is very gravitating to fantasizing.
True, I would have to agree. And I'm like thinking about it now. I'm like, there's so many video game worlds out there that just seem too stressful that you just
Oh,
don't want to be a
100%.
part of.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And that's why I was trying to think like, because that was a huge, sub question to the question. It's like, I mean, real life, our world is stressful as it is. So if I'm gonna want to be in one, which one would not really pose that? So
I love how you and I had the same thought process when we looked at the question. Like we didn't. So when we write stuff down, we don't like communicate about whatever we write until the podcast. So the fact that you and I had the same thought process without talking about it was hilarious. Like we both want adventure and we both want stress free. Obviously, Star Wars or Destiny can't. Well, before the collapse is stress free, but Star Wars
I
can be
mean,
political stress.
even Pokemon would be stressful, right? Like you could still be walking around and getting your ass kicked by a bug catcher. I mean, that'd be pretty stressful.
Yeah, yeah. We took the path of least resistance with our world.
Or you could be just like Ash, and whatever you're trying to catch, a fucking Tauros runs in front of you, and you end up with like 50 Tauroses. So like
or you're always being stalked by two old people trying to capture your one Pikachu that doesn't matter.
Exactly, right? So, and then I mean, if you apply Team Rocket in like a Detective Pikachu world, I mean, that could be pretty stressful. So,
Yeah, criminal organization trying to kidnap kids in Pokemon.
yeah, right. So, I mean, it can be, but I mean, more than not, though, it should be pretty stress free and pretty cool.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Those were all the topics we covered today. So if you want to wrap it up and segue to whoever may be watching, and maybe they could share with us what video game world would they like to live in.
All right. So I guess that wraps it up for episode 2 of the Automana podcast. Episode 3 will be August 7th, and we may potentially have a guest as well. So, stay tuned for that. But yes, as we wrap this up, we're going to go to the chat and talk to people and get their opinions on what we just discussed. So catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Hopefully see you next episode. Please. Thank you.